first branch of state government that the state constitution created is the legislative branch. The legislative branch of government is where our state laws begin. Similar to the federal government, there are two houses in the legislature, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Arizona is divided into 30 legislative districts. Each district elects 2 members of the House of Representatives and 1 senator, so there are 60 representatives and 30 senators making up the legislature. The legislature works in the state capitol buildings. Arizona has a citizen legislature, meaning that legislators are only supposed to work part of the year, a time we call legislative session. Because this is only a part-time position, most legislators also have other jobs. Each district elects its representatives and senators every 2 years, and a legislator can only serve 4 consecutive terms, or 8 years, in their respective seat. In the state constitution, the legislature is allowed to organize themselves however they see fit. The House of Representatives and the Senate have developed similar structures. The House is led by the Speaker of the House, and the Senate's leader is the Senate President. Both of these leaders are responsible for appointing legislators to committee work on specific issues, like the Education Committee and the Appropriations Committee. Both leaders also determine the schedule for the legislature, including what bills are heard when and how long debate on the bills will last. The legislature operates under what's called Parliamentary Procedure, meaning that there are very specific rules that have to be followed in how they work. Members of the House of Representatives and the Senate both develop bills that they believe will be good for the state of Arizona. Last year, over 1,000 bills were introduced by representatives and senators. These bills are then debated in committees and among the entire House of Representatives or Senate. If more than half of the representatives and senators approve of the bill, it is sent to the governor, who can either sign it into law or veto it. As one of the checks and balances, the legislature can override the governor's veto with a supermajority. In last year's session, over 300 of the introduced bills made it through the legislative process to be signed into law. In addition to making laws, the legislature is also responsible for the state's spending. Developing a state budget is one of the most important and time-consuming efforts the legislature undertakes. If the legislature wants the people of Arizona to decide on an issue, they can vote to refer something to the ballot, meaning that Arizonans will vote on whether to make something a law or to make a change to the state constitution. Lastly, the legislature has a big role in the general oversight of how the government is running. The legislature can put together committees to look at specific issues and report back to the House of Representatives and the Senate as a whole. The time when the legislature is working on writing and debating bills is called the legislative session. The regular session begins in January of every year and concludes when the legislature has finished annual business, including passing the state's budget. Session usually lasts around 100 days, although it can go longer if needed. At any point in the year, the governor can call a special session where the legislature is asked to consider a specific issue. Members of the legislature can also petition as a group to hold a special session. When the specific issue of the special session is addressed, the special session is adjourned or ended. The legislature is a very busy place where many things are happening at once, with 90 members of the legislature working to develop Arizona's laws. These legislators represent many thousands of people in their district, so every Arizona citizen has the opportunity to share their views with their representative, which is part of the responsibility in our Republican form of government.